Throughout history, cultures around the world have told tales of terrifying and awe-inspiring creatures, monsters that lurk in the shadows, guard sacred places, or challenge the bravest of heroes. From the fire-breathing dragons of Europe to the shape-shifting yokai of Japan, these mythical beasts embody the fears, beliefs, and imaginations of their people. This series will explore some of the most legendary monsters of mythology, uncovering their origins, powers, and the stories that keep them alive to this day. Welcome to Myth and Lores, a journey into the dark and divine. Without further ado, let's jump into another lore. Harpies, in their most ancient form, are creatures rooted in the dark corners of mythology. Their name synonymous with fear, vengeance, and destruction. Though often depicted as winged women with the lower body of a bird, their mythological lore spans cultures and centuries, evolving from divine agents of punishment to malevolent forces in their own right. Harpies' origins and symbolic meanings are deeply tied to the ancient themes of fate, wrath, and the supernatural. Here's a deep dive into the darker aspects of their mythos. Greek mythology. The Harpies' earliest and most famous depictions appear in ancient Greek myth. Their name, derived from the Greek word harpizein, to snatch, reflects their nature as soul snatchers and tormentors. In early myth, Harpies were often described as female storm spirits who would swoop down and steal people, food, or treasures, leaving only desolation behind them. Venus, a prophet, had been cursed by the gods to suffer hunger and thirst, as the Harpies would swoop down and steal his food before he can eat it, leaving him in a perpetual state of suffering. When Jason and the Argonauts came across him, they helped him by driving away the Harpies and chasing them into the sea. Harpies, in this context, represent the wrath of the gods, often as agents of divine retribution. They are relentless, and their actions are often seen as expressions of uncontrollable divine fury or punishment. They can also symbolize the unpredictability and danger of nature itself. In early depictions, Harpies were sometimes shown as beautiful women with the body of birds, with sharp talons and feathers that could tear through flesh. Over time, though, their image became more grotesque. By the later Greek period, they were depicted as less human and more monstrous, wild, ravenous, and fearsome. These Harpies had shrieking voices that could drive people mad, and their terrifying appearance enhanced their role as symbols of anguish and torment. Punishers of the wicked. In some versions of the myth, Harpies are seen as forces of divine punishment sent to punish those who have committed wrongs. In a world where gods controlled fate, the Harpies were justice tools, punishing individuals for their sins. They were often associated with the underworld and retribution, acting as intermediaries between the divine and the mortal worlds. As the lore evolved, the Harpies became more strongly tied to the concept of death and the afterlife. In some traditions, they were thought to serve Hades, the god of the underworld, carrying the souls of the dead to their final resting places or tormenting the souls of the damned. This connection to death only deepened their sinister reputation, as Harpies were seen as creatures that could snatch life away in an instant, tearing away the soul or person from the mortal world. In some later traditions, especially in Roman times, the Harpies took on a more malevolent character. They were no longer merely punishing wrongdoers, but were seen as instruments of destruction, dangerous, unpredictable forces of nature that could bring plague, famine, and ruin. They were creatures of vengeance, often associated with the darker aspects of human experience, hopelessness, suffering, and death. Harpies are also interpreted as figures of maternal or feminine fury. Their winged bird-like nature links them to an ancient, primal force of womanhood that could be both nurturing and terrifying. This notion is echoed in modern readings, which sometimes cast harpies as manifestations of the wrath of scorned or wronged women, driven to madness by betrayal or injustice. Harpies in the underworld, myth, punishment, and the afterlife. One of the most chilling connections of harpies in Greek myth is their role in the punishment of King Tantalus, who was condemned to an eternity of starvation and thirst in the underworld. According to some versions of his story, harpies would defecate on the food and drink that he was eternally trying to grasp, intensifying his torment and reinforcing the idea that these creatures were agents of divine vengeance. The harpies' association with the underworld also extends to their role as agents of Hades, governing the flow of souls. In this light, harpies are sometimes considered dark angels of the afterlife, ensuring that the dead reach their final destination, a place of torment or eternal peace. But their presence is not one of comfort, for they symbolize the harsh inevitability of death, the fear of punishment, and the rage of the gods. Though much of the myth of the harpy has been softened or romanticized in modern depictions, sometimes portrayed as tragic or misunderstood figures, the dark side of their nature still lingers in popular culture. The harpy remains a symbol of primal vengeance, wrath, and the fury of the gods, and her myth reflects ancient fears of retribution, suffering, and the unknown. In modern fantasy literature, video games, and movies, harpies are often portrayed as monstrous women or bird-like creatures embodying chaos and destruction. They are frequently used as symbols of nature's destructive power or as a supernatural force that meddle in human affairs. The harpies of ancient myth were never merely creatures of flight or hunger. They were born from the darkest recesses of divine punishment and natural fury. Whether acting as agents of justice or embodiments of vengeance, they wielded destruction as a reflection of the uncontrollable forces of fate and wrath. Their myth serves as a haunting reminder of the consequences of anger, greed, and cruelty, and their dark legacy endures as a symbol of the supernatural forces that lurk at the edges of human understanding. That concludes this lore. If you like what you heard, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next lore. Bye.